to talk about a topic, which is if art school is worth it. As many people know, if you don't have a scholarship, or even if you have a scholarship, art school can get very, very expensive. It is a fun environment. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts, a little bit of friendship perspective. I say friendship perspective because it's not really structured, so I'm just going to be talking about when things come into my head. Art school has its perks, of course, but there are a lot of downsides, and it's very money draining. I remember sitting at class and it is just not worth it, but there are other times where it is worth it. I'm going to share a little bit which times were not worth it, times that were worth it, kind of see if that can help gauge whether it is worth it for you. Just to preface, it is a lot of if it depends for this, if it depends for that. But you guys enjoy the video. Whoa! I graduated from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York last year. I started off art school with an illustration major, and then I switched to 2D animation. What you're going there to study can also be a factor. So I am in my perspective of an animation major, and also who is just representing myself and not everybody else. And what I've gathered through talking to my friends, personal experience. Please take this with a grain of salt. First thing I will say is that art school does give you, it's quite shallow, but it's just a degree, a name of the school, and so that can really help on your resume, and future employees who are looking at your resume and portfolio and see that, oh, you went to this school for this, you must be specialized, you must have taken courses. It's just a recognition of your skill set. Your portfolio matters way more. The first thing that people would probably look at for me as an animation student is my demo reel. They'll just watch this 30-second video, and employers are just time efficient, so they're probably not going to go in depth of all your stats and stuff. They're asked to compile like a 30 to a minute compilation of our best work as an animator. I definitely think that there's so many resources out there that are cheaper than art school. There's courses that you can take, but it's not even a fraction of what you have to pay for art school. I think what you're paying for is not only the technical side, but also work habits, your environment, who you meet, classes. It is more of a university package deal rather than the technical skills. Technical skills, I feel like there's so many resources to learn. So if you're just looking to improve that, then I would really go for the classes online. I have never taken any classes online, but I do have friends who have recommendations. So I'm gonna link one or two. I think one of them is a Korean friend who I don't speak Korean, but she said that that course really helped her do her head morphs. Aaron Blaze has a lot of good animation. Aaron Blaze is a Disney animator. He animated Brother Bear. What else did he do? He did Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and he offers a lot of courses. I'm gonna link Art of Aaron Blaze down below. Art school is really based off of the professors you get. I talked a little bit about this in my previous videos, but your professors really make or break your experience. There are some really good professors and some professors that aren't worth the time and money. Speaking of professors that aren't worth your time and money, there's also projects that are also not good. But I would say that art projects at art school, even though some of them are definitely pretty useless, there are others where it seemed useless at first, but then it did teach me a lesson. Animation is a very tedious medium. There's been tedious projects that I have to be doing in art school, and I remember working on a project. I'm like, what is the point of this? But then I finished it overnight, and the next day I turned it in, and I often look back to that project while I'm working on my animation stuff, and I'm like, wow, I really finished that useless project. I can definitely work tediously at this scene. See, I think it's also the perspective that you go into school with. If you want to make the most of your experience, then I think it's gonna be more worth it if you just go and do the minimum. Heard that other major at other school, you can just do the minimum to get by, and that works for them. But I feel like if you have the choice and decision to pay art school money, you should really make the most of it. Pratt did have a bunch of resources available. They had a big library of sorts, and we had D3 sport clubs and just a campus. And also I think I was paying for that New York experience. Since I am from Hong Kong, I really want to see and branch out to what it's like in America, so I did pay for that area as well. Having a degree is helping you get that foot in the door, but it really takes your whole body, your whole effort and energy to make the most of what you have. One thing I really want to add is I mentioned money draining earlier in the video. The thing is, when you pay for art school, you have to pay for program courses, living expenses, and art materials can really rack up. They don't really cover that. So when they ask you to buy art materials, you have to go before class and buy your own art materials, which I think is so stupid. If you're paying so much for art school, they should provide a lot of the things, but they don't, and that is a low-key scam. they require you to have the materials as well. For that, I recommend having secondhand stuff. I'm sure a lot of junior, junior people probably have extras, so maybe talk, get a little connected. But there are some things that you just have to buy. There was an art store right next to my school, and they really just took in all the students who needed a bunch of last minute art supplies, or even not even last minute, just anyone who wanted art supplies. They're like, oh, we're gonna go to Blick, which is good for them. Just to preface that you're not only paying for your tuition, living expenses, art materials. At least for my school, it was in a very expensive city. Also depends on which school you want to go to. But yeah, only speaking from a Pratt student, so that is my little 2 cents. If you don't have the money, don't think it is worth it as much as going to an online course and studying there. Online course really gives you the technical skills, whereas art school is really a hit or miss if they can really teach you. If you just want to learn animation, you can. We had this book, wait, I'll show you. So my sophomore year at Pratt, we were told to get the Animator Survival Kit. I still have it. I think if I bought this book from my own accord, I would have definitely learned so much more, which I think I still could. A lot of things, it's just you have to really grasp at the opportunities. Because I was told by a professor to get this book, I only did the bare minimum. He was like, oh, you should look at this lesson. Then I would look at the walk cycles. There's so many useful information that I should really dive into. If you are trying to self-learn animation, I think this is a really good place to start. A lot of the cycles within animation classes is they give you an assignment, you do it, which is a lot of the classes are just studio. Okay, one thing I would say is that the studios do have really nice big Cintiqs and resources, whereas if you are starting at home, you would have to pay for that. I'm wearing my Pratt merch. It is the women's volleyball shirt. Along with the equipment, computers, they're really big, nice tablets to draw on, at least for animation, and then for studios, really cool figure drawing classes. There are figure drawing classes which I think are very beneficial. I think you can take figure drawing classes. There's some in Hong Kong, but gonna be surrounded by people who are chasing a similar dream of being an artist in the future and having classmates to bounce ideas off from, complain together, to spend all-nighters with. Is a very big plus to being in that school environment. So yeah, I just wanted to add how the peers and everyone around you is quite important as well. You have to see what your intentions are going into art school. If it's just to learn animation, I would say look at resources here, online resources, YouTube, to see what you can learn from there first. If it is to get a degree, for me, I did not know what other degree I wanted. The only thing I was passionate about was art. I went in with an illustration major because I loved art, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. And then foundation year at art school, for some people, it was so useless because they went into art school knowing that they wanted to do interior design. They went into art school knowing that they wanted to do graphic design. But for me, I went in not really knowing what to do. So having a foundation year where they give you a bunch of random classes, you have to go into do like 3D stuff, model clay, all that stuff. It was helpful for me because I did take an animation class and I loved it, and I switched majors. So if you're paying for a year of school to get you through different classes, it might not be worth it, but I loved it because I got to do different art mediums that I wasn't able to do before. Sorry, this video is all over the place. Grades are definitely not as important as I once thought. It is helpful to motivate you, learn at a faster pace. One thing I would say about Pratt is that a lot of my professors, 50% of my professors were really willing to work with me outside of class. So if I had a quick question and I didn't know where to go, I would just email a professor and he'd be there to help me and be like, oh, like, do you want to section out a time in class to work with you, or even outside of class? If I had problems, he would be willing to come to school to help me with it. So I think that was a thing that I took advantage of. But I also had professors that went MIA. So I would email them and you would never reply. And then in class, I'd be like, so did you see that email? And they'd be like, oh, sorry, what do I need to help you with? They were nice, but they just went MIA whenever I needed them outside of class. There's a lot of professionals in the industry right now who did not go to art school, and there are some who did go to art school. So it is not a must, you must, but I think it is a good beneficial space for you to study. And if you have no other degree you wanted to do, then art school could be an option. Right now I'm actually going to master's. I'm not going to do master's animation. It's more of a master of design, and it's how to design for functionality and interaction design, stuff like that. On the side, I made a promise to myself that I'm going to be working on a short film on Procreate Dreams. Also, if you have another degree that you're wanting to pursue and you don't know whether to go into animation or that other degree, sorry, I'm talking to all the art school people, but if you have a side project, an art side project that you really want to do along with a degree, probably school is more beneficial towards. I would say go to do that degree and then have your art as a side project that you do along the way. Hopefully this video kind of helps give a little bit of an insight. After my 4 years, I did meet a lot of lifelong friends, have connections to professors who do work in the industry, and meet a lot of people, have that university experience. If I had to do it all over again, yep, I would go back. But now knowing the amount of online courses, if I were to go into art school just for technical skills, no.